Hello, hello. It's the 27th of December at the moment, and I thought this is a good time of year because I've got time off work to come down the garage and get a bit of work done on Roland's Rat, the brown Spitfire, which you can see lying around here. But day before yesterday, I came down and my main Spitfire, the one that works usually, this Mk3, wouldn't start. The solenoid was clicking, but the start motor wasn't engaging. I thought, oh, that's strange, because it started up earlier in the day and then it wouldn't turn over. Maybe it was a flat battery. So a friend of mine tried to give us a jump start, and still starter did not turn over. So I've had an issue with this in the past, where for no apparent reason the starter won't turn, battery's got good charge, and I found in the past that if I turn the rear end of the starter motor with a little 3/8 inch spanner, a little notch, like just turn it a little bit, then it goes. So I thought, well, maybe it's got a little dead spot, or there's something on the armature, high resistance enough. Anyway, so that's happened a couple of times. Now I've had this problem again, so I need the car. I could do with a car tomorrow. So I'm going to take the starter out of this, have a look at it. I've never taken a starter motor apart before. Done dynamos many times, and imagine it's kind of similar, right? But we'll see. So I've got the manual, looking at the, instructions. So I'm going to go and have a go at this starter motor, which is fairly conveniently located, because everything's convenient with this Spitfire, down there. But I've got a side panel. You can see the engine cowling panel in the way, which I'll need to take off. So the side panel's nearly off, and these things are a bit of a pain in the arse. Anyway, taking it off has reminded me of this terrible thing I've done, which I criticise other people for, which is complete lack of colour coding. This is like a supplementary earth for the adjustable oil pressure switch, which doesn't earth through the body, so it needed a separate wire running. And this was like something I cobbled together, so I'll take these opportunities to turn that into a black wire, because it's an earth. Anyway, so I think from here I can get the starter motor off without having to crawl under the car. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to get my 9/16 AF spanner and socket. It's going to be a bit of a wiggle, isn't it? Because this oil pressure T-piece is slightly in the way. Let's see what. So yeah, as suspected, is that in focus? Just about. Sorry about the wobbly camera work. I can't get this out. I'm going to have to take the. It won't come. It looks like it will. Looks like it will, but it won't. So I'm going to have to take the oil pressure takeoff out. Okay, she's out. I didn't have to take the whole T-piece off. I just removed the pressure line, and I put a nice little yellow plug in the end. Must remember that's there. I must remember to reconnect the thing properly. So here's my starter motor. Let's get it on the bench and see what's what. The good thing is it's quite clean. This looks quite similar to a dynamo, and on a dynamo you remove these two big screws, and then you can basically withdraw the armature and leave the bit that rotates, leaving the casing behind and whatnot. Don't think it's going to be quite the same. The manual says I've got to remove there's a clip here holding the sort of bendix gear and whatnot on, but to get that off I need to compress this spring. Bit of a pain in the arse. So I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to take these screws out. I'm also going to take this rear cover off if I can. And yeah, we shall see. It might be one of those things that I start and then, if I can't get the brushes, because there's some brushes in there, according to the drawing's slightly different from mine because it's got a ring around. Anyway, mine's not the same as this, but this has got two sets of brushes. There's a set of brushes here and a set of brushes here. So I'm intrigued. We will see. This is a voyage of discovery. Let's have a look. You didn't need to know that. That was completely pointless information. So these little screws, well, I'm using a 7/32 socket and it's a little bit loose. So I don't know what the right size is. Maybe Whitworth? Lucas would probably do something like Whitworth. Anyway, I've got a feeling it feels like it's springing off. It's going to come flying off, and loads of things are going to, loads of bits are going to go flying, which would be hilarious. Yeah, but the angle's not very good then, is it? Well, no, the angle's not very good. Sorry about that. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and the last one. I've left a nut on the main 12 volt post there, just so nothing, in case it did want to fly off. Okay, haha. That's sort of what I was expecting to happen, but not entirely. See, I thought this plate would come off, but no, it doesn't come off. So it goes that far. Obviously, then it stops. I'm gonna have a bit of a play around and see what I can do. I've had a bit more of a thought about it. Well, I had a bit more of a look at it. I think I'm going to attempt to take this off as per the workshop manual. So I've got to compress this spring, and I thought, well, how am I going to do that? Maybe I'll use my spring compressor. This is obviously for suspension. And I looked in my scrap pile for some suitable piece of metal, because the hole in the top is too big. If you know what I mean, it slides straight over. So I'm going to put this here. Put the, is that going to fit? Will that fit in there? Yes, it will. So I'm going to wind it down, and then see. I have no idea how you remove. Sorry about this camera. I have no idea how you remove this clip. It's called a 16 jump ring. Here's the setup then. Spring compressor, clamped in vise, standing on some blocks of wood, and my little spacer plate is sitting there. I've got a couple of sockets, and I'm going to wind it down, and we'll see what happens. Have I said I'll see what happens several times? That's what's happening anyway. So, slight difficulty now has arisen. I've got it compressed. I think that's as far as it's going to go. So that thing called the jump ring, here's my screwdriver. The thing called the jump ring, it's got a little split, so it's a little circlip type thing. Now, what I'm going to do is try and wedge one screwdriver in the gap, open it out, and then use another screwdriver to lever the thing off, and hopefully it doesn't go flying off into anywhere else, somewhere else, my neighbour's garage or anything like that. But obviously that's a two-handed job. Alright, well, this thing is too thick. Can't get underneath. I need to get underneath that little ring to be able to prise it off. So I've got something thinner. This, I think, used to be part of a lamp anyway, so I've cut some slits in it so it will fit. But I want it to sit on top. I want it to sit on top of here, so I can get my screwdrivers underneath the little ring. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to drill 3 holes in here and bolt it to the top of the spring compressor plate. And then it's going to work, definitely. The holes line up, would you believe? That is compressed. Let's see, can you see that? Hang on a minute. There it is. And there's the jump ring. In a moment, that will be off. I just want to demonstrate this 2 screwdriver technique. You can use one of the bolts as a fulcrum. It's still pretty awkward. I could do with a third hand, but basically I can squeeze that. I mean, yeah, it does work. Ta-da! Told you it would work. So now we know. Now we know how to do it. Don't lose that, will you? Here she is then, and the workshop manual says, once you've got that, remove the jump ring, like it's a trivial exercise, and lift off items 18 to 20. what about 21? It just says the pinion and barrel assembly should not be renewed independent of each other. But does they come off? I don't know. Let's see. There. No, they don't. But that does. What's doing 18 and 19 and 20, but not 21. Interesting. Which way around did I just put this? That comes out like this. These came off like that. So let's put them face down. There we go. There you are. Of course it comes off, you sod. That's it. Let's see. Now I'll take those screws out of that end again. Help, what have I done? So it did just, this just pulled, the back plate did just pull off. It's just a sliding fit on the shaft. So one of the brushes, one of the field brushes has come out of its seat. Anyway, but that's the commutator. And it looks fine. I was hoping it was going to be covered in soot or something, and I'm not sure. I don't know how long the brushes are meant to be. I'll look in the manual. Do they all move freely? That was one of the questions. They do. I presume he does. He moved so freely he escaped. So why didn't it work? It's a mystery. Maybe I'll just put it back together and hope for the best. I took the armature out. That's this bit. And here's the base plate with the brushes. And I thought, I wonder if those brushes are the right length. In the manual it says check that the brushes move freely on the string. If a brush is inclined to stick, remove it from its holder and relieve its size of the file. Replace the brushes in their original positions or renew excessively worn brushes as follows. Excessively worn is in the tech specs bit, and it says minimum brush length 5/16 8mm, 5/16 of an inch. Here's my 5/16 spanner. And the brushes, let's take one as an example. That one will do. Whoopsie daisy, there you go. Well, it's lots more than 5/16. Interestingly, vaguely interestingly, the width, the brush is about 5/16 wide at its widest point. And then on the commutator, if I can, I haven't got enough hands. Is that going to stay there? Not for very long. So you can see that each brush is on, at any time, is on 2 segments of the commutator, just for interest. The commutator is a bit worn. I mean, the starter motor, it's nothing like the dynamo in terms of wearing brushes and commutator, because the dynamo is obviously running all the time the engine's running, but a starter motor only spins a little bit every now and then when your car conks out and you're trying to restart it. So the fact that this is 55 years old, 54 years old, probably. It's not actually, I'm not surprised the brushes aren't worn out. What I'm going to do, I will clean this up. I'll just give it a wipe down with some wet and dry or wire wool, because maybe something was going on. I don't know. It looks fine. And the brushes are the right length. So I'm going to give this a clean up. And then, pardon me, I'm going to do what what the manual says, which is reassemble. To reassemble, reverse the dismantling procedure. What could be simpler? One last thing before I put it back together. You can tell that everything was covered in quite a thick layer of copper dust. So I'm trying to wipe most of that off with a bit of rag, carb cleaner, paintbrush to flick the dust off. I did clean the commutator and the end up. I mean, it's quite worn. You see a lot of grooves, but you would think that the brushes have worn in the same way. So ideally, everything would be smooth and fine. But I haven't got the means to remove all the wear on this. Maybe you should have it refaced. If I had a lathe, maybe that's what I'd do. But I haven't got a lathe, so I'm not going to. Okay, well, it's back together. It was quite easy to put it back together. It's back on. I don't, you can barely see it. There's the starter motor, and here's the solenoid. Is it gonna move? Is it gonna go? Yeah, man, it works. I mean, it worked before, but it's good that it works now.